Hello and welcome to a new episode of Underground, the show that brings you the latest from social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter and Instagram, among others. I am Muntaha Muazzin. Let's start today's show with our collection of videos. History is always written by the powerful. However, this video tells the story of the victim, the story of the children of Palestine. The poetry in the video is performed by Rafik Ziyadi.
My body was a TV'd massacre. Today, my body was a TV'd massacre that had to fit into sound bites and word limits. Today, my body was a TV'd massacre that had to fit into sound bites and word limits, filled enough with statistics to counter measured response. And I perfected my English and I learned my UN resolutions. But still, he asked me, Ms. Ziyada, don't you think everything would be resolved if you would just stop teaching so much hatred to your children? Pause. I look inside of me for strength to be patient, but patience is not at the tip of my tongue as the bombs drop over Gaza. Patience has just escaped me. Pause. Smile. Teach life, sir. Rafiq, remember to smile. Pause. We teach life, sir. We, Palestinians, teach life after they have occupied the last sky. We teach life after they have built their settlements and apartheid walls. After the last skies, we teach life, sir. But today, my body was a TV massacre made to fit into sound bites and word limits. And just give us a story. A human story. You see, this is not political. We just want to tell people about you and your people. So give us a human story. Don't mention that word apartheid and occupation. It's not political. You have to help me as a journalist to help you tell your story, which is not a political story. Today, my body was a TB massacre. How about you give us the story of a woman in Gaza who needs medication? How about you? Do you have enough bone, broken limbs to cover the sun? Hand me over your dead and give me the list of their names in 1,200 words limit. Today, my body was a TV massacre made to fit into sound bites and word limits and move those that are desensitized to terrorist blood and statistics. And we condemn and we deplore and we reject. And these are not two equal sides. Occupiers and occupied. And 100 dead, 200 dead, and 1,000 dead. Don't you think everything will be resolved if you would just stop teaching so much hatred to your children? Pause. Smile, not terrorist. And I recount, 100 dead, 200 dead, 1,000 dead. Is anyone out there? Will anyone listen? I wish I could wail over their bodies. I wish I could just run barefoot every refugee camp and hold every child, cover their ears so they wouldn't have to hear the sound of bombing for the rest of their life the way I do. Today, my body was a TV massacre. Let me just tell you, there's nothing your UN resolutions have ever done about it. And no soundbite I come up with, no matter how good my English gets. No soundbite, no soundbite, no soundbite, no soundbite will bring them back to life. No soundbite will fix this. We teach life, sir. We teach life, sir. We Palestinians wake up every morning to teach the rest of the world life, sir.
From this video in Palestine to a video from the United States, where last week President Obama compared Obamacare's glitchy rollout to the release of Apple's new mobile operating system iOS 7. Now, in a new video released by College Humor, the president turns to Apple's Genius Bar to help solve the government shutdown. Take a look.
Hey, Barry?
Yeah.
Yeah, hey, how can I help you today?
Well, I was hoping that you could take a look at my government. It's shut down, and I really need it to work.
Okay, just walk me through what happened.
Well, it's a pretty old model, but it's been reliable for quite some time. And then I tried to load some custom programs onto it, which you guys said would work. But now it's been rejecting it.
Okay, yeah, no problem. Now, did you restart it?
Oh yeah, 2012. It did absolutely nothing. It cost me a fortune.
And you just can't delete your program?
I shouldn't have to. The hardware said that it was compatible 3 years ago. And there's a lot of European models where it works just fine. Saw that on the message boards.
Yeah, but unfortunately, this government is especially resistant to change. But we'll crack it open and see what's going on. You got a lot of preloaded crapware on here. You still running the Electoral College? Looks like you have a used model. The guy before you really did a number on this. See, the two main parts of the motherboard aren't even communicating with each other.
Well, is there anything you can do?
Honestly, dude, these things weren't made to last. They're just cheap temporary systems that rely too heavily on foreign manufacturing. Oh, dude, you got a virus. Bummer.
What does that do?
Well, it just replicates itself. Makes it so the hardware won't do anything useful.
Oh, can't I just get a new government? Now, my friend, he came in here the other day, and he said that you hooked him up.
Also from the United States, a video which is primarily a research done by Carl Fitch Colorado School. The video provides an eye-opening look at the rapid progression of technology and social media in the global information age. The quote, "Don't judge people on their look," can also be implemented on smartphones. In other words, don't be fooled by the beautiful design or brands. Let's have a look to this video, which is a test to the new brands of iPhone 5S versus the iPhone 5C versus the Moto X and the Samsung S4.
Hello, it's Square Trade's Face-Off Day. Today we're going to test 4 phones, the new iPhone 5S and 5C versus the S4 and the Moto X. To see their breakability score, we're going to drop them, dunk them, and do a slide test. The Samsung, oh, looks like the screen is coming off on the side there. Let's see if doesn't appear to be functional at all either. Looks like the 5C clearly took some damage. Oh yeah, whole bottom half is crushed. Huh? Well, it's still functional, but it's definitely shattered. The Moto X appears fine. Just some slight damage on the corner here. The 5S looks like it took a couple of nicks on the corner. The screen seems fine. With this test, we want to determine which device is most likely to slide off a surface to its death. Now let's test them with the dunk bot to see which can handle being submerged in water. Looks like the S4 just might have shut itself off. Moto X still working, still has audio. 5S still working, has audio. Tests, followed by the iPhone 5S, which did well in the drop and dunk tests, but slid right off the table. The iPhone 5C took damage in the drop test, and the Samsung S4 came in last, turning off in both the dunk and drop tests.
Teens have proved to be among the leaders of the internet trends, and the world is advancing so quickly that many of today's teens will find future careers in technology that haven't been created yet. However, social media and technology can be a double-edged sword. Let's take a look to this video. Now we will show you the top topics circulating on social media. The hashtag under the name Walid Abul Khair trended on Twitter to denounce the arrest of the Saudi prominent human rights activist Abul Khair, who was accused of illegal gatherings. Abul Khair used his Twitter account to tweet his accusations, which include the establishment of the Human Rights Observatory in Saudi Arabia. The hashtag World Habitat Day trended on social media this week in response to the call by the United Nations General Assembly, which declared the first Monday in October to be a time to recognize the basic needs for adequate shelter in a world lacking for so many. Netizens tweeted their thoughts and sympathy to 1.6 million who have no adequate shelter worldwide and called on governments to take actions. Now we will stop for our short break and then we'll be back. Stay tuned.
abortion and climate change, medicine manipulation, genetically modified food, the destruction of wildlife, and corporate exploitation. These are all part of a new terrorism threatening our future.
Eco-terrorism, global awakening to a world under threat.
Welcome back. Today, Dr. Haneen Hout will join us to speak about the negative effects of technology and social media on children. Dr. Hout is a psychotherapist for children, young and adults. Welcome to Underground. Dr. Hout, thank you for joining us on Underground today.
Thank you.
Now, before we start our conversation, let's take a look at this report, which includes some of the suicide cases happened because of cyberbullying on the internet.
Social media facilitates open communication and enhancing information discovery and delivery. Everyone can find new people, meet their friends, and communicate all over the world. And it is an easy access for all people. But unfortunately, it has its disadvantages when it comes to the misuse of it. And this misuse may indeed lead to harassments and even suicide among teenagers. As for Ask.fm, which is a website where people can anonymously ask who anything they want, and is most likely a source of cyberbullying, damaging the self-esteem and future prospects of young people, and it is an issue that cannot be afforded to overlook. Can you kill yourself already? Is an example of the vile online messages from internet trolls. Following teenagers are victims of cyberbullying. Hannah Smith, 14 years old, was found hanged at her home in England. She had been abused by trolls over her weight and a family death, as well as being accused of self-harming. Bullies urged her to drink bleach and cut herself on Ask.fm. Joshua Answorth, 15 years old, also from England, had offered to help other teenagers suffering from online bullying cope. However, the teenager described as a thoughtful, loving and compassionate boy took his own life. Messages posted on his site said, "You really are a freak, no one likes you and you deserve sick things to happen to you." Erin Gallagher, 13 years old, was discovered by relatives at her home in Ireland, just 24 hours after threatening suicide. She had been physically and mentally bullied by tormentors. Police seized computers after her death, but no one has been charged.
Dr. Haneen, the report shows that some teens are committing suicide due to bullying. We would like to know, why is this major effect of bullying?
Well, bullying is like when you really threaten the life of someone or try to, to threaten to hurt them, to kill them, you ridicule them, you belittle them. And when that happens to a person, especially at a very young age, their whole self-esteem goes all the way down. And with more bullying, with more cyberbullying, they could become very much depressed. And when you are really depressed and feeling low, there is the chance that you might, there's a moment when you don't want to live anymore. Mm-hmm. It's as simple as that. Very sad, but very simple,
Mm-hmm. Does cyberbullying affect girls more than boys?
Actually, it's affecting both. Girls have a different way of bullying each other, yet still both are very harmful. Maybe they use more, like they put things like "you're a liar," "your secrets," on Facebook, on the internet, and this is how they, get at each other. Boys use more like sexual, maybe words and, stuff like that. They're more violent, exactly. Mm-hmm. But according to research, both are unfortunately, you know, taking their own lives, both genders.
But why do teens tend to be more like getting affected by this, whereas also adults are cyberbullied too?
This is actually a very good question, and thank you for asking me that, because at this young age, their whole personality is still developing, you know. They're still struggling for their own identity as teenagers, you know. And then during this whole turmoil, in addition to all whatever pressure they have to go through in life as teenager, in addition to that, you have somebody that comes and bullies them. You know, it's not like you're an adult, you have supposedly like a more fully developed personality, you know that these people are just doing something bad. You might, you know, you understand it differently. Cognitively, emotionally, socially, they're still at a very young age where they cannot make a lot of sense out of it.
But here when we look at teens, we say, why don't they just turn off their computers and like leave their cell phones aside and just ignore this problem?
You see, this is one of what we as therapists like advise parents to tell their kids. When you're being bullied, just ignore and don't do it. Don't use your smartphone. Don't have a smartphone. I don't even understand why parents buy a smartphone for an 11-year-old. Okay, so but you know they just sometimes they get into it. You know, like they're curious, and some of them have, you know, not very strong personalities, you know. They want to know what others think about them. It's like they start something, they cannot go backwards anymore. But ideally, we would like advise them to just not answer back, you know.
Okay. And as a psychotherapist located in the Middle East, Dr. Haneen Hout, I would like to know, is this frequent also, cyberbullying? Is it frequent in the Middle East region too?
To be very honest with you, I cannot give you a clear answer. There isn't much statistics in our part of the world. But as a therapist, I mean, I'm also a college counselor. I know from my students that it's definitely happening. I mean, I've come across many cases in my career where they come to me and they're very depressed. And, you know, in my kids' school, I have 2 kids. It happened in their school too. So I'm sure it's happening. But what differentiates us from other parts of the world, we don't have lots of statistics to back it up, to prove that it is happening. But definitely it is.
Okay, here, do you have a certain case that you would like to highlight? And I'm curious to know what topics are these teens bullied on in the Middle East region?
To be honest with you, lots of things. When it comes to females, it's always the same story. Things about how they look like, you know, like their bodies. If she's a bit on the fat side or too skinny, it's related to how they look like. If she doesn't know how to dress. To be honest with you, really very, very, you know, superficial things. But for these people at this age, they're very important. So they're very much like other parts of the world, you know. And of course, there are sometimes you would hear also related to politics, like making fun of people who come to belong to certain maybe sects or to certain political, you know, groups. We have that too. I mean, I come across of some certain people who were bullied because of their political convictions.
Wow. Okay, and my last question to you here is, what advice and recommendation do you think should be given in order to prevent this major effects of cyberbullying, especially that in the West we see that there are major databases and major like industry which works on this, like phone applications and things to diminish this effect. In the Middle East, what do you have to say?
Well, I think we should, first of all, address it like your program, more in social media, in media in general. We should have like workshops for the parents. The parents should have more communication with their kids, so when it happens, they know what to do about it. Schools, they should address it too. I think if a teacher knows anything about it, she hears a story, she should not ignore it. We have reached a point where so many things are happening, many bad things are happening to children, and we simply think we are so helpless, why should we do anything? No, it's not true. We have to start somewhere. Schools, parents, media, you know, everywhere. And, you know,
Okay. Dr. Haneen Al-Hout, you are a psychotherapist. Thank you so much for joining us on Underground today.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Moving on to social media news and views. A new study by Dane Zarella, who's a social media scientist, shows that tweets including photos are more likely to be passed along via retweet. Interestingly, the study adds that tweets which include a link to an Instagram photo is 42 less likely to be retweeted than a tweet without an Instagram link. A new phone application named CutUp is created to be like WhatsApp for the workplace. So instead of exchanging emails in the workplace, workers can text via CutUp. The application allows the employee to communicate through one-to-one or in groups inside and outside the office. Critics say the problem is that it requires every employee to have access to every other employee's cell phone number. Finally, although dogs look very different from people, they share many of our body's characteristics and for some could be considered as family members. But did you know that they also share some sports interests, especially in football, and they are also talented? Let's watch our video of the week.
No hay dudas.
A ver cómo define acá.
Bien. ¡Mirá! ¡Mirá! ¡Qué buen gol!
¡Gol de perro!
No lo puedo creer, no entraba.
No.
No entraba.
Bueno, yo creo que sí entraba, pero la cabecita...
No entraba, no entraba. Pero, espera.
Junior, ¿entraba?
Espera, espera.
That was all on Underground for today. Our thanks for watching. Bye-bye.